The top stories in this bulletin: the United Nations witnesses conflict-induced suffering of innocent civilians in Ethiopia. And the scholar says composition at the United Nations Security Council fails to represent the current realities in the globe. Hello and welcome to Addis News Hour. I'm Daniel Kasahun with the news. President Sahle-Work Zewde appreciates the people of Afar for paying the ultimate sacrifice to save Ethiopia. Meanwhile, the United Nations Deputy Secretary General Amina Mohammed has called for lasting solutions to the tragic conflicts affecting innocent civilians in the Afar region. The President and United Nations Deputy Secretary General have visited the victims of conflicts affected areas in Afar. Shfarao Lako presents the account as follows.
The Ethiopian President Sahle-Work Zewde, the UN Deputy Secretary General Amina Mohammed, and the former Nigerian President Olusegun Obasanjo have paid a visit to Afar region. Their visit has unveiled the horrors the innocent civilians in the Afar region are going through as a result of the intermittent conflicts popping up here and there in the region. They have personally witnessed the heartbreaking and heinous attacks of TPLF and encouraged the victims, including children and women, that have had to bear the brunt of the conflicts. President Sahle-Work Zewde has appreciated the courage the people of Afar demonstrated to defend the sovereignty of Ethiopia.
The UN is our organization. The UN is for member states. So I think it's important that they come and see, not only for humanitarian, as you have said, but also how we continue supporting the country and especially the most vulnerable of the regions that we have. I would like to thank really the Afar regional government and its population, the clan leaders, for having fought the fight to save Ethiopia. You have been on the forefront. We're very proud of you. While I say this, I remember, and I would like to really have a fond, memory for those who have lost their lives, those who are in uniform. That's their job to protect. But the civilian victims, as you have described, women, children, you have paid a heavy price, like the other region next to you.
The Deputy Secretary General of the United Nations says the conflicts are driving Ethiopia's situation from bad to worse.
Before the conflict, there was already challenges of poverty, of jobs, of development. And now, with the conflict, it is even worse. Our coming to see today means that the world sees the reality of what is on the ground. The United Nations has been here, has been your partner, first to look to save lives and to save livelihoods. What we see is unfortunate, is tragic. There is no winner in a conflict. And while we may have the resources after the conflict to rebuild the houses, the schools, the hospitals, it takes a lifetime to rebuild the trust and the society's fabric for the losses that have happened. It takes time to forgive.
She has also reflected on their visits to other areas, reiterating that women and children suffer the most in the conflicts.
The tragedy that has happened to women and children is one that I hope that the men of Ethiopia will lead the recovery. When men go to war, maybe they come back, they're injured. Maybe they don't come back and they die because they've gone to fight for something. But women and children who are not part of this and end up being the victims, whether it is rape or it is being killed, coming back home is not an option because your societies reject women that have been injured. it becomes a social stigma, and they are doubly hurt.
The chief administrator of Afar region, Awal Arba, pointed out that the livelihood of the people in the region has now been worsening following the invasions of the terrorist TPLF. The group is engaged in killings and attacking innocent people and animals. The group has inflicted substantial damage on women, children, elders, and livestock, as well as infrastructure, he said.
In a related development, concluding her visit to several conflict-affected areas in Ethiopia, the United Nations Deputy Secretary General Amina Mohammed has briefed journalists on the humanitarian situation and the measures to address the problem. The Deputy Secretary General stressed the need to expedite humanitarian operations in conflict-affected areas in Ethiopia to save lives of Ethiopia who are under desperate situation. She also said that though the peace and security situation is improving compared to the situation months ago, but the visit has enabled her to discover the real tragedy happened in places that are affected by the conflict and its terrible consequences.
To witness the tragedies of the conflict all round. There is never a winner in conflict, and to see the efforts that have been made by the government and people in Ethiopia for peace. Visiting the regions from Tigray to Amhara, Somali, and this morning to Afar, to hear from the leaders there, to hear from the people, and to hear really what their hopes are and how they will engage with this pathway to peace. I also met with very many of the workers of the United Nations in partnership with Ethiopians in trying to get humanitarian aid and assistance to the people that need it most. And this perhaps is the biggest call that we have, is that humanitarian assistance needs to get there. Yes.
In his office, the Deputy Secretary General of the United Nations, Amina Mohammed, and discussed current situations in Ethiopia. The Deputy Secretary General said her recent visit to the Amhara and Tigray region helped her see the cost of the conflict on human lives and property. She said her visit to the Somali region also opened her eyes to the severity of the drought, which needs all-round support. Amina further appreciated the ongoing peace initiatives in the country, underlining the need to give proper attention to rehabilitation efforts in areas affected by the conflict. She finally appreciated the Ethiopian government's commitment to engage with the United Nations while passing through difficult times. Deputy Prime Minister and Foreign Minister Demeke Mekonnen on his part said the successive United Nations meetings over Ethiopia put unnecessary pressure on the government that was fighting anti-peace elements at home. He said, despite all the external and internal pressures, the Ethiopian government managed to control situations and relatively pacify the country, which ever led to hosting the African Union annual meeting in person in Addis Ababa. He finally underlined Ethiopia's commitment to engage with relevant international bodies to highlight the reality on the ground in Ethiopia.
They say, Kauleza mama, which simply means, hurry mama, please, please don't let them catch you. Kauleza mama, Kauleza mama, Kauleza.
Africa's voice on the world stage needs to be heard loud and clear.
Kauleza mama, Kauleza mama, Kauleza mama, sheshi sabo.
I would like to propose to this august body the establishment of an African Union Continental Media House. This media house could be organized to provide authoritative news and information on our continent, fight disinformation, promote our collective agenda, and offer opportunities for Pan-African voice to be heard.
Welcome back. You are watching Addis News Hour. The Chinese embassy in Addis Ababa, in a press release, announced that 2,160 tons of emergency humanitarian food aid from China are being distributed among IDPs in the northern part of Ethiopia. To help address humanitarian challenges among IDPs, the government of China donated 2,160 tons of food to the government of Ethiopia, demonstrating the deep friendship between the two countries and their peoples. As President Xi Jinping indicated, the everlasting spirit of China-Africa friendship features sincere friendship and equality, win-win for mutual benefits and common development, fairness and justice, and progress with the times, openness and inclusiveness. China will stand firmly with Ethiopia and other African countries, earnestly implement the outcomes of the FOCAC conference, and jointly build a China-Africa community with a shared future in the new era, the press release stated. The Russian ambassador to Ethiopia, Yevgeny Terekin, was received by the Ethiopian Minister of Education, Professor Birhanu Nagga. During the meeting, the two exchanged views on the prospects of bilateral cooperation in science and education, and the strengthening of its legal framework took place. The minister informed the ambassador in detail about plans for reforming the science and education areas in Ethiopia. A great contribution to the training of Ethiopians was made by Russian professors who worked here in different periods of history, Professor Birhanu said. A true symbol of friendship between the peoples of the two countries is the Bahir Dar Polytechnic Institute, which has now become a university. This, one of the oldest higher education institutions of Ethiopia, gave a start in life to many thousands of Ethiopians who now constitute the intellectual elite of their country, he added. The two further agreed to continue mutually beneficial cooperation for the benefit of their countries and their peoples.
It is the right time to reform and revitalize the United Nations system to reflect current global realities and ensure that it is a more representative and equitable body. With our Esluini Consensus of 2005, we should collectively insist that Africa's reasonable request for no less than 2 permanent seats and 5 non-permanent seats in the UN Security Council be adopted.
Welcome back. This is Addis News Hour. The Angolan ambassador to Ethiopia says his country is keen to work together with Ethiopia and share its long-standing peacekeeping mission. The two countries expressed their desire to continue to work together in a way that aspires Africa's Agenda 2063 to build a prosperous Africa based on inclusive growth and sustainable development that pursued under Pan-Africanism, the ambassador noted. Koshuma Lissau has more from Ethiopian News Agency.
Ethiopia has been involved in various peacekeeping missions since the Korean War from 1950 to 1953 and so far. In Africa, including the Democratic Republic of Congo, Sudan and South Sudan, Ethiopia has been involved in quelling the Darfur conflict in Sudan to bring peace and stability. Ethiopia is also contributing a large contingent of peacekeepers under AU peacekeeping mission in Somalia, AMISOM. Angolan ambassador to Ethiopia, Francisco Jose da Cruz, said that Angola is keen to work together with Ethiopia and share its long-standing peacekeeping mission.
Ethiopia has a lot of experience in peacekeeping operations. Angola is getting involved in that area and will definitely benefit from Ethiopian experience. And we are trying to identify areas where we can really enhance our cooperation and for the benefit of both countries.
The ambassador also said Ethiopia and Angola have long-standing bilateral relations, adding that this will strengthen the comprehensive cooperation between the two countries. Agenda 2063 has aims to deliver on its goal for inclusive and sustainable development and is a concrete manifestation of the Pan-African drive for unity, self-determination, freedom, progress and collective prosperity pursued under Pan-Africanism. On this move, the two countries expressed their desire to continue to work together in a way that strengthens Pan-Africanism, the ambassador noted.
Very friendly and historical relations between both countries. Starting from 1977, we have been in Addis with an embassy since 1979. In 1977, we signed a service agreement for airline services agreement, which has been implemented until now. We feel that both countries are very committed to Pan-Africanism, and in that sense we have great areas of where we can cooperate together.
Ethiopia and Angola began bilateral relations in 1979. It was learned.
አሁን ያለንበት ቦታ ከባህር ጠለል በላይ 2700 ሜትር ከባህር ጠለል ወለል በላይ ከፍ ያለ ቦታ ነው ያለነው። እዛ ቦታ ላይ የቀርካ ፓርክ የሚል ነገር አለ። ከዚህ በኋላ ወደዛ በእግር ወክ የሚያደርግ ሰው 520 ሜትር ሄዶ 180 ሄክታር ጥብቅ ደን የቀርካ ደን ማግኘት ይችላል። ያ ደን ያልተተከለ ሰዎች ያልተከሉት በተፈጥሮ ያደገ በውስጡ የዱር እንስሳት አሉ እንደነ ቺታ የተለያዩ አይነት ጅብ ሌሎችም ነባር በአካባቢ ላይ የሚታወቁ የዱር እንስሳት የሚገኙበት የማይነካ በቀላሉም ሰው ሄዶ መግባት የማይችል አካባቢ መብረሰብ እንትን የሚል አካባቢ ነው ያለውና
ያው 777 ያው ከብሔረሰቡ ጋር እጅግ በጣም የተሳሰረ ታሪክ ስላለ ነው። 7 ቁጥር ከከምባታ ጠምባሮ ዞን ብሔረሰቦች ጋር እጅግ በጣም የተቆራኘ ቁጥር ነች።
ባህላዊ እንደምታለው ታሪካዊ እንደምታ ሃይማኖታዊም እንደምታለውና ከዚህ ጋር ታይዞ ትርጉም ተሰጥቶት ነው ተራራውን ከመወጣት መወጣጫነት ከመጠቀም ባለፈ የተሰራውና ለምሳሌ 7 ቁጥር በከምባታ ባህል እዛጋም አይታችሁ ከሆነ ለመለጋ የሚባል 7 ወንዞች አሉ።
Welcome back. You are with Addis News Hour. The archaic United Nations Security Council still maintains 5 permanent and 10 rotating seats. However, for a rising generation of African leaders, the idea of serving a 2-year term and rotating off does not square with their demand for fair and equal opportunities. Permanent seats for Africa at the United Nations help reflect the African narrative in a manner that correctly represents their continent. African nations are urged to press ahead with their quest for a permanent seat in the global organizations. For more of the details, here is Habtam Ashagri. Take a look.
But what is the Security Council, and why are countries vying for a spot? The UN
Africa does not decide anything at the Council. The real decision-making body is the Security Council, and its 5 permanent members are China, Russia, France, Great Britain, and United States. The founding of this prestigious council was based on the results of the Second World War, where global superpowers were defined based on hard power. But it ignores African people and their contributions to the victory over Hitler's Germany. Thus, it's a high time that Africans solidified the struggle for a permanent seat at the United Nations.
Arguments are there. Such number of population, big continent, large countries. If we get permanent seats in the Security Council, then we'll determine about not only the fate of Africa, the fate of other countries similar to Africa, Latin America, Central America, Southeast Asian countries, Asia, and so forth. We Africans will advocate and represent these countries, these nations, under the aegis of United Nations organization, which is the Security Council. So bargaining power must be go on and continue. And we can profit from that. One is we will be listened, we Africans. And the hegemony will be reduced.
Over the past 6 decades, some Western states have controlled all parts of the world indirectly by institutionalizing the United Nations Security Council in order to advance their national interests. According to The Economist, African leaders need to work aggressively to widen the inclusiveness of the United Nations Security Council.
What Africa wants? Equity, fraternity, brotherhood, nothing else. What Africa wants. But to listen and to be listened, what Africa wants. I think this is an important idea and an important issue, and the African leaders must work vigorously, cautiously on this thing through their diplomacy, international law, international economic relations, and so forth. I think this is a good idea, not only for Ethiopia, but also for the rest of Africa, not only for the rest of Africa, all the Asian nations, the Latin American nations, and like outside the European Union and the outside of America.
The composition of the United Nations Security Council is aristocratic and fails to reflect the current world at all. Today, the notion of power has evolved from hard power to a subtle but more influential power. Soft power enables a nation to lead other countries through influence. This is the very notion that needs to guide the reform process at the global body, says The Economist.
The American hegemony. So, triangular. America, Europe, Russia, and China together. Okay? So from this we will move to from bipolar or tripolar to multipolar bargaining power, not only about security, about politics, about economics, about culture, and so forth in the United Nations organization. So it is, for me, it is a good thing. Why from one center? Why? Why not from epicenters and the money centers? Why not? Why only America? UN means the instrument of United States of America. I'm sorry to say.
So why do they do it? The short answer, status and prestige.
In business, the National Bank of Ethiopia and the African Export-Import Bank, Afri-Exim Bank, has signed a $1 billion USA loan agreement. The agreement is aimed at securing a $1 billion USD loan to banks of Ethiopia. National Bank Governor Dr. Inagar Detse said The National Bank of Ethiopia and African Export-Import Bank has also signed a memorandum of understanding to collaborate on areas of common interest. On the signing ceremony, it is also stated that the agreement will support trade and investment activities in Ethiopia.
Our bilateral cooperation that we forged with the Afrexim Bank at this critical time where the impact of COVID-19 pandemic has been felt throughout the economic and social spectrum, aims at creating a broad framework for collaboration in areas of common interest, particularly in the field of trade and investment, which are critical elements for our socio-economic growth and development, job creation, and poverty reduction. In essence, the cooperation between Afrexim Bank and the National Bank of Ethiopia extends to supporting both the private sector and the public sector by providing line of credit to selected private sector entities and commercial banks. Cognizant of the merits of this cooperation, we are committed to the effective and successful implementation of the terms of the Memorandum of Understanding and its implementation action plan, which will remain in force for a 3-year period, and closely work with the relevant parties to ensuring maximum results and benefits.
Afrexim Bank President and Chairman Professor Benedict Oramah, who praised the years of investments and reform in Ethiopia that paved a resilient economy during the pandemic. He also expressed the bank's commitment to support Ethiopia's development and growth.
I'd like to assure you that Afrexim Bank will continue to work with partner institutions to support Ethiopia's development efforts. Governor, our joint roadshow held in September last year helped us to identify numerous trade and investment opportunities here in Ethiopia. We believe that working with the National Bank and designated local banks, we can scale investments into productive sectors, particularly light manufacturing, agro-processing, tourism, and other growth-enabling and promoting sectors. We'll also be able to continue to support the import of critical needs, be they food, fertilizer, fuels.
The new headquarters of the Commercial Bank of Ethiopia, CBE, built at a cost of $303.5 million USD, will be inaugurated this coming Sunday. The CBE headquarters, which is the tallest skyscraper in East Africa, has the third tallest in Africa, has taken almost 6 months to complete, CBE President Abiy Sano said. Briefing the media, he says the building is over 209 meters tall and has 53 floors. The headquarters area for public access included exhibition area, cafeteria, siting area, meeting halls, shopping mall, cinema, gymnasium, spa, children entertainment, restaurant, and game areas, among others. It was learned. The Commercial Bank of Ethiopia, which was established in 1942, with only 2 branches, has now 1,795 branches. The Nigerian high-level delegation led by the Agriculture Minister Muhammadu Abubakar has visited industrial parks in Ethiopia. The delegation, that included high-level officials of several states of Nigeria, has visited the Galem Integrated Agricultural Production Processing Industrial Park. The delegation has also visited the Bulbula Integrated Agro-Industrial Park. According to the Nigerian Agriculture Minister, the visit is said to have a pivotal role to further strengthen ties and share experiences between the agro-processing industries in Ethiopia and Nigeria.
It will take us shorter time to come to where you are. Why? Because we have done a lot of this, the concept note, the research, the this, the that. We don't have to reinvent the wheel. We can just take it and improve it and go from there.
Let's have a quick access for updates of foreign exchange.
So we've just been dropped off here and we're now going into the Casablanca market. We're gonna do a little bit of shopping, see what they got. Ooh, raspberries. Thank you.
Yeah.
How much was it? 5, 6, 7. Gotta catch them all. I have never seen more cats in my entire life in one city block. May I touch thee? Oh, you like the scratch. 3 kids on a bike. Typical day here in Casablanca.
Honestly, the most important thing you have to do when you come to Casablanca is going to the Hassan II Mosque. It is gorgeous inside. And as you're going to go on the tour, make sure you wear shoes you can take off easily, because you do not wear your shoes inside the mosque. They give you a little bag, you put them in, so you have that. Also, when you're in there, you can take all the pictures and flash pictures you want, but no filming when you're in there. But it is gorgeous and you will love it.
So right now we are out front of the Grand Casablanca Mosque and it's absolutely beautiful. Hey guys, I like your haircut. Wow, very nice. There we go. Here we go, guys.
News from the continent. Libya's Prime Minister Abdulhamid Dbeibah on Tuesday rejected Parliament's decision to appoint a new premier to head the country's transitional government. Lawmakers say they will name a new prime minister to replace Dbeibah after Libya's failed to hold its first presidential election during his watch. Dbeibah said he wants to push for the election, but the parliament has to agree first with the High Council of State and advisory body based in the capital of Tripoli. He spoke during a meeting with members of the council in the capital Tripoli. Parliament Speaker Aguila Salis said a vote to name one of the 2 candidates will take place on Thursday following consultations with the High Council of the State. The failure to hold the presidential election has been a major blow to international efforts to end the decade of chaos in Libya. Originally scheduled for December 24th, the presidential vote was postponed over disputes between rival factions on laws governing the elections and controversial presidential hopefuls. Lawmakers have argued that the mandate of Dbeibah's government ends on December 24th. Next is a weather update. Please take a look.